Hi, I am Master Ali, and welcome to Kyosho Jetsu Malaysia. Hey everyone, welcome to my little mini-series here, our Gog and Magog from the progeny of Prophet Adam, peace be upon him. And this is part 2 in this series, and I don't know if there will be a part 3, I'm not sure, most likely not, but if you have not seen part 1, go back and watch that first and then watch this part 2. And who am I? I'm Grandmaster Ali, and I talk about myself in part 1, so I'm not going to go into that, okay? So let's get into it. Now, a few weeks ago I was lying on my bed and thoughts came to me, okay? And I've been busy working on some other courses, so I didn't get around to doing this one, but I wanted to come back to it. So in part 1 I talked about this particular slide, but I wanted to elaborate a little bit more on it in this part 2, okay? So this is based on a hadith of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that said they will prevail over the earth. And who are they? They is Yajuj and Majuj, or Gog and Magog. Then their leader will say, these are the people of the earth and we have finished them off. And I covered that in part 1, right? Now, and then they say, now let us fight the people of heaven. So let's discuss about the people of heaven. Now, we know that God created a firmament, okay? And God says in the Quran, He created 7 strong heavens, okay? And each heaven is divided or separated by a firmament, okay? And I'll give you the verse in my Riptides of Astronomy course. I'm not going to give it to you now. And so we know that it is impossible to break through this firmament. It is impossible. The only way to go through it is through the gates, okay? And those gates are guarded by angels, very powerful and strong angels, all right? So now the people who are in heaven right now, okay, we know that you cannot throw a javelin, you cannot even blow up a missile and shoot these people, okay? It's impossible. It is impossible. All right. So we have to go and look at the context of what is being portrayed in this hadith. All right. Now, then one of them will throw his spear towards the sky, and it will come back down smeared with blood. Now, what has taken place? Let me paint you a picture here. Gog and Magog are released. Okay. And then they're going around, they're killing all the humans. Now we've got all these governments, we've got our militaries, you know, China has their own military, Malaysia has their own military, Canada has their military, American military. Every country pretty much has their own military. And what does their military comprises of? Okay? Jets, airplanes, right? To shoot rockets down from the sky down to the earth. And I mentioned about maybe it was an airplane that they're shooting the spear at, or this javelin. I mentioned that in part 1, but let's go a little bit deeper here. So of course you've got these people, huge people attacking, and you think the governments are just going to sit there and do nothing? They're going to say, generals, launch your jets, get them up in the air, and let's attack these people before they kill us all off. So now again, this series is for you to think with logical common sense thinking, all right? And to be honest, this is something our scholars are lacking today. They're lacking the ability to think logically, and they're lacking the ability with any bloody common sense, all right? So you as a man, let's say you got a 6 feet man, let's say The Rock, all right? Or let's say, for example, The Rock is not a military guy, right? But Jack Reacher is, right? And I don't mean the Tom Cruise Jack Reacher. I mean the Jack Reacher from the TV series, all right? And there's a little pop-up of him. He was a very strong, powerful guy, right? He could take on 10 guys, right? So, let's say Jack Reacher is throwing a javelin up and trying to strike one of these airplanes, all right? What is the odds? And you know how fast these jets fly, right? They fly very quickly. He's going to have to time it very precisely. The jet is going, the javelin has to be thrown even when the jet is way, way out here to hit the pilot in the cockpit, right? Because it says here, the spears will come back down smeared with blood. That means the spear is not hitting the engine. The engine doesn't have blood, right? The tail of the airplane does not have blood, right? Only the pilot sitting in that airplane, in that fighter jet, has blood inside of him, right? So it makes sense that this javelin will have to hit the pilot, okay? So these are who they're referring to as the people in heaven, because they're looking up and they see all these jets. And where they are now, there's most likely no fighter jets. So they look up and they see, wow, these planes, they must be coming from the heavens. These must be the people of heavens. So they have two categories of people. The people above and the people on the earth, okay, which are us. But they don't realize those guys in those airplanes are also us, okay? And that's why. Because they're not exposed to them, to airplanes and that sort of technology in the location where they are now, all right? Does that make sense? It does to me, right? Now, so they throw the javelin, they hit the guy. Now, there's a thing here that we have to realize is that, okay, and it will come back down smeared with blood, and they will say, we have killed the people of heaven. Now, from this period to this end, we have to look at what happened in between this area, okay? Because one, they're saying we have killed. That means there's probably more than one airplane, of course, right? And then there's probably more than one of them, right? Because it's saying we have killed the people of heaven, not the person of heaven. So this is not like a one-time thing. This is actually, if we go in depth here, they're probably like, I don't know, 50,000 jets all over the world flying, and then the Gog and Magog are throwing their spears and hitting them down, right? So, like, what I want you to think is, if, we got scholars right now telling us that Gog and Magog are running loose in Gaza. What a stupid thing to say. And then I just saw another video the other day from another Islamic channel. I forget the thing, One Islam or something like that. I forget which channel it was. And they posted a 1-hour video. I started watching it, and then I just want to vomit of all the stupidity of the misinformation of what they're saying. And they say that Zulkarnain traveled to China and he built a wall there. So it's saying that what? Gog and Magog are the Mongols or the Chinese, right? If you're Zulkarnain and you're building a wall in China, then who are the Gog and Magog? The Chinese, right? It wouldn't be the South Americans. That wouldn't make any logical sense. It wouldn't be the Europeans. If you're building a wall in China to keep them in, then you're saying Gog and Magog are the Chinese. Or some say it's the Mongols, right? But my question to you is, do these people right now, I know many Chinese people, right? And I will give them a javelin, and I'll give you $1 million if any of these Chinese people can take a javelin and throw it up and hit a rocket jet airplane and kill the pilot. I'll give any bloody one of you scholars $1 million if you can do that. Get one of the little Chinese guys, throw it up in the air, and bring down a $40 million jet. Right? This is where you guys have to add some common sense into your thinking. because you have no common sense. That's why anyway, I don't want to ramble on about the scholars, okay, and how they have failed us in education, because they failed us. So anyway, so this is something that we have to think here, what happened in between here. And this is probably a battle that took place, okay, because I'm sure the fighter jets are going to be shooting at them. They've got guns, they've got bombs, and they've got missiles, and they're going to be attacking them. And then the ground force of the Gog and Magog will be taking their spears and boom, flinging them up and shooting down these planes, right? And you can see the outcome. The outcome is very clear. Gog and Magog 1, mankind 0, right? Because they say we have killed the people of heaven. So they're not going to succeed. Mankind is not going to succeed on bringing them down. So even with all of our advanced fighter jets and bombs and all that technology, is not going to be effective. Now, fighter jets, we know, can go down low altitudes, and then you got these big bombers, okay, that will drop bombs that are very, very high up, right? Now, again, you go find a little Chinese guy, or even one of these big European guys, to shoot their spear and hit a big B-47 bomber that's like, I don't know, 10,000 feet up in the air. Good luck. It's impossible. It's not logical. Okay, so it means that these Gog and Magog people are not us. They're not the same size of us. They have to be bigger than us. That is the only thing that makes any logical sense. Okay, so they cannot be running around in Gaza, for Pete's sake. Okay, so stop with these stupid things. And, you know, the javelin itself has to be huge. Okay? You know, I've been saying in my courses that Gog and Magog are at least 100 feet tall. And normally when you're fighting with a spear, okay, let's say you're fighting with even a bow staff. The bow staffs are normally longer than you, right? And so that means their javelins are very tall. It's going to be more than 100 feet. And that will bring down any bloody airplane, right? And they will have the strength and power to fling that javelin very, very high up. Thousands and thousands and thousands of feet that they'll be able to throw it, right? So, and you got to think that they're preparing their bows and arrows and shields, okay, which you know, we're going to learn that this will be our firewood. And they've been preparing the javelins. That means the trees in their area are bloody huge. Bloody huge. Okay? And in my course, Gog and Magog, and when I solved the entire mystery, praise Allah, that He has granted me the knowledge to do this, I tell you, the trees are very, very huge. So this is how they can produce. You know, you go today and you know, we're talking, the only trees that are that huge today are maybe in the redwood forest of California, maybe in South America. They have some very strong, very powerful trees there as well. And but they're very limited areas of the world, of our known earth, of our known regions of the earth, that you can find very strong, huge, tall, powerful trees that they can cut down and make into javelins. Okay? You know, in front of me here I have a mango tree, and you know, this is maybe maybe 30 feet tall. Okay, it needs to be trimmed down a bit. Okay, but that is not big enough. That is not big enough for this tree. And the trunk of the tree is probably about 10 feet. And then it starts to branch off. The branches are curved in here. You cannot make a javelin with branches. You cannot. You need a tall, straight tree. Right? That's the only logical sense. So, these are things that we have to go in depth here, and so there will be a battle that will take place, and the people of, I won't call them people, let's say Gog and Magog, they've defeated the people on the earth, and now they're saying that we've defeated the people of heaven. Okay, so it's not the heaven, not up there beyond the firmament. It's not God's. It's not the lower heaven or any of the seven heavens is what they're referring to. Doesn't make any logical sense. All right, because they cannot penetrate the firmament. God said He made strong firmaments. For Gog and Magog to throw a sphere and break through the firmament, then it means that God is wrong. Allah is wrong. That He did not create strong firmaments. So we know it's impossible for Gog and Magog to shoot a sphere and reach the heavens, the actual heavens. They cannot do that. Okay, and God has protected the heavens with these firmaments. So it means it's something else. That's what it means. Okay, to their limited knowledge of Gog and Magog, they're thinking it's the people of heaven, but for us, it is military attack jet fighter planes and bombers trying to save the world. All right, and now here's another video here. I'm going to play it.
Check out these massive swords unearthed in Turkey. Now,
So
I'm not sure if this is AI or not. I haven't seen anything necessarily debunking it, but I haven't seen any mainstream news on it either. But you know how this stuff goes when it comes to giants. They generally don't put it in the mainstream media. Check these out. Allegedly 3,000 years old. And these things are huge.
Now that time frame
As you
is
can
wrong.
see, they dwarf the archaeologists digging them up. And they're said to be Nephilim swords. Now, I did some research and I asked ChatGPT about what size sword a 6-foot tall man would need. And on average, swords in medieval times were about half of a man's height. Then I asked ChatGPT, based on these pictures, how big are these swords? And this is what is said. The image you provided appears to show an extremely large sword, far larger than typical swords from any historical period. The approximate length based on the image, we need to consider the scale provided by the person in the photo. If the person in the photo is around average height, 5'5" to 6 feet tall, the sword seems to be around 4 times their height, making it roughly 20 to 24 feet long. To the next sword, and it said that one was 40 to 50 feet long. So if you do the math on that, half the height, these beings that wielded these swords had to have been anywhere from 75 to 100 feet tall. Just know, if these are real, you'll never see it in the mainstream media. It will not hit the mainstream media. If they actually did uncover these swords, what else would they be used for other than a being wielding them? I don't see ancient beings just carving or making random weaponry that large for no reason at all. Why would they do that? It's so labor intensive. It's a waste of resources. It just doesn't make sense. The only logical explanation is that there were beings big enough to wield these swords. Could it have been the Nephilim from the Book of Enoch? Possibly. Could it have been beings even older than that? Possibly. Poseidon, the Greek gods, something along those lines. Could they have been real beings? I'm not saying it's the case, I'm just saying ponder it. It's absolutely amazing if it's a real find. That's just my 2 cents. Hope you all enjoyed.
All right.
Let me know what you think in the
Thanks a lot,
comments.
little buddy there.
Crazy stuff.
For your 2 cents.
I am out.
So you can let me just pause it at one of those pictures there. This one here. So you can see the size of the little guy here in the background and the size of the sword. Okay. Now, when Allah created Adam, he was 100 feet tall, right? Just a little short of 100 feet tall. Okay. And so Adam would have been able to wield this sword. And we know that from the time of Adam to the time of Noah was about approximately 2,262 years. Approximately. And I got that number from my Gog and Magog course. All right, and I'll give you the source of that knowledge as well too. So these swords, it is possible they were created by those people in that time, because we know after the flood is when mankind started to decrease in size, right? And so it's possible they were made by man, and it's also possible it was made by someone before man. Okay, and just want to bring up some pictures here. Give me 1 second. Alright, you can see the title here. This is a YouTube video, a massive prehistoric megastructure that cannot be explained. And you can see the guy standing here and the size of this block. And look up here, these are smaller blocks. And so actually this original structure, which probably goes further down in the ground, okay, because remember after the flood, the mud and everything would have brought up would have buried some of the structures, right? And so actually this is actually from Lebanon, okay, of all places, Lebanon, and then the Romans came and built their structures above these megalithic structures, okay, and so they say that the size of these structures, you know, or these blocks here, at that time it was impossible for the Romans to one, carve them out. And you can see the carving of the Roman blocks here, they're not even flat. Like this one is very flat here, this is very flat, okay, but you can see how this one and this one is a bit jaggedy, and these are a little bit more flat here. But you know, they said it's impossible for them, and then they said that these structures below here, forget about the ones on the top, they were dated over 10 to 12,000 years ago, okay. And we know mankind is only about 7,500 years, actually lesser than that. So it was built by someone pre-man, okay? And you know, here's the here's the Roman architect that was built above it, and they try to explain in this video how they might have built it and all kinds of stuff.
Designed to fit into holes or grooves and
in the end,
insertion points for these lifting.
Still cannot explain.
Represents some of the most impressive examples of Roman engineering.
These megalithic
but
structures
be transported
were actually built, and then the blocks were actually from huge quarries and transported over the land, which becomes another big issue of how that would have been done. And you know, and the equipment that they used, they had their own equipment. Here, this is actually one of the quarries, and here's something else that's very interesting that in the video the guy says that, you know, these were blocks and they were getting ready to move them, and suddenly everything just stopped. Yeah, this is probably the Romans building on top of the quarries, but these megalithic blocks here, if you put a man right here, he'll probably be about this size, right about here. So there's no way we can even move this with today's technology. Anyone that says we can, go and ask these scientists, and they'll say you're an idiot, because it's impossible even for our technology today to be able to move these megalithic structures. And they're also saying that these structures actually are going even deeper and deeper and deeper. They're trying to, you know, go down deeper. I forget what they called this one. This one was like some I forget the name of what they called, but they said that this structure here is twice the size of this structure, right? And so who put these things, who built these things, and who was able to move these things, and the size of these people who can move them. So these are things that, you know, when you are applying the knowledge to these hadith and applying the knowledge of Gog and Magog, you have to factor deeper history of what was here on the earth. Okay, and I love watching these videos. You can find a lot of them on YouTube. Here's one, you can go search for this. I love watching these videos because the people who are doing these videos are like in awe, like who did all this, and they don't know how it was done. But one thing they do say and very clear is that they were all done pre-flood, okay, and some of them are dating them over 10,000 years ago, okay. So this is, and they're also making the claims that history does not explain or have history. Our known history has no explanation of this, how it was done. There is no explanation. And I've noticed that in several of the videos, they all say the same thing. There is no known history of how these megalithic structures were built and how they came about. Alright, so, alright, I'm going to end this video, and I do hope you find or make the time to go deeper into my Yajuj and Majuj, or actually my Truth and Sight series. Okay, the first episode is on the mystery of Gog and Magog, and the second one is on the Ain al-Hayat, and my third one is on is called the Riptides of Astronomy. And in just these three, I removed the lies of astronomy, I removed the lies of history, I removed the lies of geography, and then what is left? Al-Haq, the truth. The truth is what is left. And just want to say that I've received a lot of great messages for my work, and it's very encouraging, and it helps me to continue to produce more. In my Truth and Sight series, I have much more as well. There's this episode 1, 2, 3, episode 4, 5, and 6 as well. And I also go deeper into the lies of health and the medical establishment. So I hope you can find those and go through it as well. Alright, so if you have any questions, you can contact me. I'm Grandmaster Ali, and thank you very much.
When the genocidal army came to lay the people low, to spirit them away from lands their fate had always known, the leaders of the free world turned away their greedy eyes to protect the settler colony and spread outrageous lies. Oh, raise your voice for humanity, raise your voice to the indignity, raise your voice for the thousands who've been slain. We sing the names for freedom yet to still be attained. When the young folk made a stand to fight for all the human race, our leaders called them evil as they blinded them with mace. Yet stronger still they cried out loud for freedom to ring true. Oh, an end to the apartheid is so long overdue. Oh, raise your voice for humanity, raise your voice to the indignity, raise your voice for the thousands who've been slain. We sing the names for freedom yet to still be attained. Now we see the rich folks smiling at the galas and soirees as the children of Gaza their mangled bodies laid. Their hungry eyes and blood-soaked hair still left out in the shade of the dimly shining eagle lining pompous parade. Oh, raise your voice for humanity, raise your voice to the indignity, raise your voice for the thousands who've been slain. We sing the names for freedom yet to still be attained. To all the gallant heroes who boycott and divest, who stand against an occupying army's evil zest, I say to you, dear comrades, stay strong until the end. Free Palestine forever is the message we will send. Oh, raise your voice for humanity, raise your voice to the indignity, raise your voice for the thousands who've been slain. We sing the names for freedom yet to still be attained. Raise your voice voice for humanity. Raise your voice to the indignity. Raise your voice for the thousands who've been slain. We sing the names for freedom yet to still be attained. When the genocidal army came to lay the people low, to spirit them away from lands their feet had always known, the leaders of the free world turned away their greedy eyes to protect the settler colony and spread outrageous lies. Oh, raise your voice for humanity. Raise your voice to the indignity. Raise your voice for the thousands who've been slain. We sing the names for freedom yet to still be attained. When the young folk made a stand to fight for all the human race, our leaders called them evil as they blinded them with mace. Yet stronger still they cried out loud for freedom to ring true. Oh, an end to the apartheid is so long overdue. Oh, raise your voice for humanity. Raise your voice to the indignity.